Today we begin several weeks of delving into the Psalms of the Bible. The Psalms are amazing, faithful expressions of all the phases and experiences and emotions that you feel as you travel throughout your life of faith. The Psalms contain great expressions of joy, like mountains skip like rams and hills like lambs. And today, Psalm 100. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. But the Psalms also express some of the deepest feelings of suffering and loss. From Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me? From the words of my groaning. But then, you also have some of the most amazing expressions of wonder and hope. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. Beautiful. In monasteries around the world, they pray and contemplate upon the Psalms every day. There is something transcendent about them. They can touch your deepest self with faith. Today we're looking at Psalm 100, which is one of the shortest and one of the most joyous and worshipful of all the Psalms. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into His presence with singing. Know that the Lord is God. It is He that made us, and we are His. We are His people, the sheep of His pasture. Enter His gates with thanksgiving and into His courts with praise. Give thanks to Him. Bless His name, for the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and His faithfulness to all generations. Make a joyful noise to the Lord. You know, there is a lot of bad news in the world. Any newspaper or news magazine or program that you watch is filled with bad news. China, Russia, India, Brazil, Mexico, and yes, of course, right here in America. You get so much bad news dumped upon you every day, from every direction that you look. And yet, God has also given you amazing scenes of beauty and wonder. Sometimes I look up at the breezes blowing through the trees in my backyard, and I am absolutely amazed at the layers of beauty arrayed around me. The fluttering of the individual leaves, the way the sunlight turns some leaves bright yellowish green, and while others in more shade have a darker color of green. And the squirrels running around, birds alighting here and there, chirping and singing with all their different songs, with the occasional bunny chewing on the grass. It is just amazingly peaceful when you just let your mind rest in this place of peace and life. Even the neighbors mowing the grass all adds to the everyday peacefulness of this symphony of life. The other day I was walking around the Cadorus Park with my little pup, and I heard these small children running and laughing and playing. Can there be a more joyful sound in life? And there's young couples strolling with their frisbees, and families cooking out on the grills scattered around the park. You can feel the warmth of the sun and the breeze blowing upon your skin. All of these sights and sounds and even the smells of honeysuckle and flowering trees and grilling burgers, all of these joys blending together in a wondrous song of praise to God. You can just let your mind rest in such peacefulness and beauty. It is almost as if the Creator himself or herself is surrounding you with love. And you stand there, or you sit there, soaking it all in. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know that the Lord is God. It is he that made us, and we are his. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and his courts with praise. You know, when you think about the courts of the Lord are entering his gates with thanksgiving, oftentimes you find yourself thinking of a kind of beautiful and worshipful building like the church, like this church. And yet, all of the splendors that humanity can craft cannot compare to the complexity and majesty of the everyday rhythms of nature. They say one of the healthiest things that you can do is simply stroll out in nature. The Japanese actually have a word for it. They call it forest bathing. Forest bathing. Just letting the wonder and the beauty and the harmony wash over you and seep into your being. This is a kind of worship that takes you out of yourself and outside all of the sufferings of humanity for a brief time. And you realize in those moments, in the depths of your being, that there is another reality. And just knowing that, just knowing the very existence of that reality can bring you hope in the midst of your everyday life. You know, one time I learned this interesting fact about driving in a car. If something happens in front of you while you're driving in a car on the road, like let's say a deer jumps out in front of you, you're not supposed to look at the deer as you're trying to avoid it. You're supposed to look away from the deer to the place on the road where you need to go in order to avoid the deer. You need to look over here. In your daily life, as you are driving the car of your life, steering the wheel of your mind. It may be helpful to sometimes intentionally look away from all the fears and sufferings of the world. It may be helpful to sometimes set your thoughts and set your mind upon the beauties and wonders of nature for a moment or two, so that you can steer your life into the ways of peace and hope and even joy. There will be plenty of time to worry about the other stuff when you return. May the peace of the Lord, the Creator of the universe, dwell in your heart and mind.